Perhaps more than any other sport, mountain climbing rewards the brave and punishes the timid. I'm Peter Benchley, host of Expedition Earth, the documentary series that focuses on adventure, wildlife, and the environment. Today, we take you on an exciting adventure with two intrepid climbers who set out to scale a mountain peak in Pakistan so remote that before they got there, it was not only unclimbed, but unnamed as well. At 40 million years old, young for a mountain range, the peaks of northern Pakistan are the most heavily glaciated high mountains in the world. In the midst of these broad-shouldered giants, a granite spire, solitary and aloof, rises some 20,000 feet. It is known as the Nameless Tower. Two climbers have trekked to this faraway range beyond contact with the outside world to try their skills on this tower, never before climbed by a woman. Catherine Destivelle, the top woman sport climber in the world. She's been at it since she was 5. Jeff Lowe is America's premier alpinist. This will be a partnership for survival. Raked by millennia-old glaciers, the route to base camp is fraught with potential rock slides. A rare sight, the shy Asiatic ibex, whose ease among the granite boulders is supreme. Ibex roam up to 16,000 feet. This bearded member of the goat family escapes predators such as the snow leopard by running up rocks. In an upward journey of 1,000 steps, Catherine and Jeff anticipate their own dance of risk. Though the ibex are unaccustomed to human intruders in their rock kingdom, they seem undisturbed, moving nimbly over the rocks, munching grasses, and among the males competing for dominance. The Karakoram Range is a busy crossroads of history. Trading peoples such as the Mongols, Muslims, and Hindus have used its passes for centuries. As the northwestern extension of the Himalayas, the Karakoram boasts K2, the world's second highest peak, and the incomparable Nameless Tower. Dehydration, headaches, and cold are among the more predictable side effects of high-altitude climbing. The team's ascent technique will only add to their difficulties. To explain, aided climbing permits the use of webbing stirrups, or étriers, to assist in the ascent. They allow the climber to literally step his way up the route without ever having to cling to the rock face itself. There is plenty of rest time between moves. Working from a suspended harness, much like a window washer's, the climber sets camming devices into the rock and runs his protection rope through them. There is no hurry and virtually no penalty for losing balance. But in free climbing, here demonstrated by Catherine, all manner of assistance is forbidden. Only a single protection rope set by the climber will help in the case of a fall. This clean, demanding style forces athletes to pull themselves up by muscle alone. Body weight is dead weight between moves, as the free climber is not permitted to hang on the rope at any time. Muscles inevitably give out and begin to quiver like sewing machines, as climbers are fond of saying. At this point, speed and decisiveness become all important. After a fall, the rules of free climbing require that the pitch be scaled all over again.
Improving the artwork for the t-shirt. It's looking good. I like these colors. Yeah, the nice thing is we've got 5 colors on the back.
At 39, Jeff Lowe, a former ski racer, is one of a handful of American climbers to have made a business out of his sport. He organizes climbing competitions and manufactures handholds that are fitted to artificial climbing walls. Sport climbing enjoys widespread popularity in Europe, and after years of back-page coverage at home, it appears to be gaining a U.S. audience.
So they go down to medium-sized holds, they go down to...
As the son of a climber, Jeff has never been far from the outdoor scene. In the early 80s, he designed and manufactured some of the best climbing gear ever made. When he's not in the office, Jeff often writes and photographs climbing stories. His standing as a top alpinist with many first ascents to his credit helps him to be innovative in his business.
It's going to be easier to clean out that kind of a texture. Well, we can do heavy grit for the competition hold. Okay, the pack.
Before attempting the nameless tower, both Catherine and Jeff felt it was imperative to climb together, since their fate would soon be linked by a single rope. Catherine warmed up by bouldering, a technique that has helped her develop the speed and explosive moves for which she is now known the world over. She is especially strong on small pocket holds and other types of face climbing. The pair then moved on to a classic granite slab in the Rockies known as the Red Garden Wall. They chose to ascend the diving board, a demanding crack climb rated at 511. In texture and shape, the route was very similar to what they would soon face in Pakistan.
Catherine's visit this time has been real instructive to me. I knew she was a good climber, but having never actually climbed with her on natural rock before, other than just watching her climb in the competition, it's hard to tell exactly what a person's going to be like on the rock. This climbing here has been real instructional to me. Catherine is good with her protection. She's very safe. She's strong in all kinds of climbing. She's good in cracks. She's good on roofs, good on overhangs. It's so obvious the hours and days and weeks and months and years she's put into free climbing. She moves so naturally. She's really like an animal on the rock. And she's one of the most naturally gifted and quick climbers that I've ever seen. In fact, I think her abilities complement mine. My experience is more in the mountains. Hers is a little bit more towards free climbing. I can help her on bivouacs, how to spend time on a long climb like this. In turn, she can help me on face climbing. I'm a little better on some wide cracks than she is. Altogether, I just don't think I could have a better partner than Catherine for this climb.
In free climbing, that partnership may become a matter of life and death, especially when the climber on lead looks shaky. The partner belaying from below must remain alert and be prepared to cinch up the protection rope at a moment's notice. Much as no one likes to think about it, Jeff and Catherine know the value of practicing their feel for the rope.
Catherine, I'm on my way! The point of Catherine's and my climb is not just to get to the top of Trango by any means. That's, in my estimation, an outdated way of climbing. We really have to maintain the spirit of adventure in the Himalayas, in the mountains of the world. I know that given enough equipment and enough time that I can climb Nameless Tower, but I'm not sure that I can free climb it. And that maintaining that element of adventure and doubt is really important to me, and that's what makes climbing as special as it is. And if we succeed in doing this thing without aid, I'll be very happy.
The old market in Rawalpindi is a long way from Colorado or Paris, but a man selling flutes made Catherine feel at home. She used to play the flute as a child.
I would like to find some herbal tea for drink. Tea. No. Where I can find? But this way? Thank you.
She never found her herbal tea, but it wasn't for lack of places to look. After 20 years of climbing, this was Catherine's first expedition to the Himalaya region, the climber's Mecca. Fresh fruit would soon vanish from the climber's diet. Once up to base camp and beyond, their meals would be a monotony of potatoes, bread, and freeze-dried dinners. Fruit seemed, for the moment then, worth searching for. Support team leader Jim Bridwell, America's top big wall climber and a veteran of countless expeditions, made the shopping rounds with Catherine. Together they bought food for the long approach trip to base camp. Meanwhile, Jeff Lowe visited government offices to secure their climbing permit. The overland journey to Nameless Tower began with a 3-day bus ride northward on the Karakoram Highway, which was first opened to foreigners in 1980. It was Chinese and Pakistani engineers who cut through this rough country to make the highway some 25 years ago. Now it's a nightmare of near misses. As the bus climbed higher, crowded villages gave way to terraced hillsides. The highway followed the gorge of the mighty Indus River with a 2,000-foot vertical drop not uncommon. Before coming to Pakistan, Catherine had no experience of high-altitude climbing above 19,000 feet. In fact, it's remarkable to note that a climber of her stature lives and trains in the heart of a major city. Though her conditioning was superb before she left Paris, there's a mental, perhaps almost mystical element to Himalayan expeditions. And Catherine was clearly concerned about how she would respond to a prolonged trip in a faraway place.
It's the first time I live during 2 months a town very far from everything. Maybe I will be, I don't know. I think I will be okay, but I don't want to be stressed. So, but I feel strong, and I want to climb this tower. So that's why I'm happy to go. I feel strong in my body, but very tired in my every day, because a lot of things to think. Prepare the luggages and the food, and we have to think a lot.
In the days leading up to her departure, Catherine visited almost every mountaineering store in Paris. The preparation seemed never-ending. Clerks came to recognize not only a world champion, but a harried shopper as well.
Alors, je vais juste regarder un petit peu ce qu'on a, les tailles et les...
Un échantillonnage.
25 miles south of Paris is Fontainebleau, well known among climbers for its challenging boulders. Catherine has come here year after year for training and spiritual refreshment.
I like very much this rock because I start climbing when I was 14 here, and it reminded me a lot of things, and it was the beginning, my beginning, and that's why I like very much this rock, and it was a game for me, and it's very pleasant because you can climb everywhere.
Catherine devised a grueling circuit at Fontainebleau, one that approximated the demands of Nameless Tower, though here, one big difference, she was never more than 15 feet off the deck. As you watch, you'll see why she's nicknamed the Rock Dancer.
The quality I bring in Trango is my technique of climb. I like to play with the rock to find the good way, the good movements to succeed the passage. And also it's in big wall, it's the same. You have to play with cracks, with face, with holes, and you change your balance all the time. And you have also to take care about your life.
On the last afternoon of the bus ride, the vista was no longer of green valleys, but high, dry plains with the majestic Trango Range in full view. The climbers arrived in Skardu on the holiest day of the Muslim year. The 2-week festival of Muharram had reached the climactic moment, when the men beat themselves to ritually mourn the death of a prophet. The participants seemed to work themselves into a trance-like frenzy. The quicker chanting signaled that the once-a-year ritual had reached its most ecstatic and potentially most dangerous state. Many of these Shiite Muslim devotees were taken away to hospital and bandaged, only to return to beat themselves some more.
I have never seen a religion where people beat themselves. Obviously, the level of devotion is strong, but it really made me feel how far away I was from everything I knew, and how strange everything was here to me.
All the men used the same instrument on themselves, an arrangement of 7 knives, unchanged since medieval times. When the Muharram festival had ended, life returned to normal in the Skardu region, which is to say the Balti porters hired for the climb went on strike before a single pack was lifted. After much discussion, the 115 porters hired for the job agreed that their wage should be improved from $4 to $6 a day. The proposition was put to Jim Bridwell, who accepted. Whoever said collective bargaining can't work? Catherine helped to assign the 60-pound loads. Jeff Lowe was trekking 2 days behind Jim and Catherine, having stayed back to confirm the permit with Pakistani ministers. A cable crossing of the Braldu River, swollen by the melting Baltoro Glacier, put the fear of Allah even into the porters.
Here's the crossing we heard about.
I wonder how old is this cable?
Looks like they put it up yesterday. The guy still hasn't got it down how to tie the knots yet. Oh well, you can go first. Okay, good luck.
It was a 60-foot drop to the raging river.
The cable car looked very dangerous, but we didn't have any choice. I imagined in my head that the cable could break and we could die if we fell down because the river is very strong and very, very cold.
The remote village of Ascole was the last outpost of civilization, one where Westerners had rarely been seen.
The women were very shy and they didn't like the camera.
No.
They hide themselves everywhere behind the trees and behind the villages. they wanted to speak to me, so it was very nice. But I seemed to come from another century.
Unlike Nepal or Tibet, where yaks are the beast of burden, northern Pakistan has no domesticated work animal. 3,000 pounds of food and climbing gear was moved by the sweat of human labor.
After 2 days, the altitude was more higher and I couldn't breathe very well. Everything was not so good, so I have to walk slowly.
A goat had been purchased in Ascole for a good luck feast, customary on these sorts of big expeditions. The porter's balance is all the more impressive when you consider that many of them walk barefoot for days through wet snow and frigid water. The glaciers made for a chilly trek. When a tarp of wet clouds stretched over the valley, the team knew that wind and plummeting temperatures were not far behind. These are just the sorts of conditions free climbers dread. Under threatening weather, base camp was finally established on the banks of a glacial lake. After 10 days of trekking, the porters were paid off one by one. The Siddar, or head porter, called out the names. In a matter of hours, the porters would start their descent, and the climbers would be, for better or worse, on their own.
Thank you. At the base camp it was raining a lot and we were very wet, but in the altitude at the advanced base camp it was snowing, so it was okay because not so wet. But the weather didn't affect my mood because I had a lot of motivation for the top and for the climb.
During 3 days of snowstorms, advanced base camp was established at 17,500 feet.
No.
We have a new record low snow level.
Melting snow created dangerous conditions. These waterfalls of rock and ice poured out their deadly cargo within half a mile of the climbers. After staying behind to work out the permit, Jeff Lowe arrived in base camp.
We had to get an escort. Past bandits.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Let's have some
tea, huh?
Yeah.
And no headache?
No.
No?
No.
You feel good?
Yeah.
Good.
I had let her go first.
United and nearly ready for the climb, the team rested that night to let Jeff adjust to the new altitude.
That's all day.
Oh, yeah.
We were going to climb the tower without you. It didn't matter.
I was kind of hoping that you'd be very close to the top so I could just come along and Jumar up.
We hadn't liked Rawalpindi so much.
I bet you didn't like Rawalpindi that much, did you?
No, it wasn't that fun.
Yeah.
It's really hot, sweltering heat.
But you missed a big ceremony.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Beat
Beak.
themselves
Oh, yeah.
You know, they have those chains with
with
knives on the end of
with
them.
knives.
God, people just falling over from just fainting,
Self-flagellation,
yeah.
yeah.
Unbelievable. Little kids.
And,
I'm going to show
and
some
we
of the
have
shots
to
of my
be
kids.
high because
They don't want you watching. Yeah.
The dawn sky was clear the next morning, but soon clouds rolled in, bringing wind as well.
they are nice like that.
Thank you. I feel like going up today. How about you?
Good. Weather seems to be better.
Well,
Anyway, we will see.
well, we should be up
So
there
we
when
have
it does
to wash
break.
us.
But first, an equipment review was in order. This hanging tent is known as a portaledge. Jeff and Catherine will sleep in it, suspended over sheer cliffs.
You can leave it this part closed, and it breathes very well. Or you can open all up through the hole there.
Yeah.
The climbing team had to be equipped to scale walls of rock, ice, and snow, so there was a veritable treasure trove of hardware to sort through. Each climber prepared a sling of gear, mentally noting every piece on it, so there would be no delays during free climbing.
Looks like rain on again, off again all day here.
Weather is one of two great risks on Himalayan expeditions. The other is waiting. Too much waiting can dampen enthusiasm. As they started out, Catherine was already aware of these two demons.
More dangerous is that the spirits have to be very high and to stay very high, because with bad weather and waiting, the danger is that your spirit fell down and you don't want to climb anymore.
They now faced a climb of 6,000 vertical feet, with camps at 18,500 and 19,700 feet. The summit stood at 20,510, but first they had to reach shoulder camp.
Then the second pitch looks steeper up there. Loose all the way. I don't know which is the best. I'll move out of your way, and we'll start. Dried mud slope. In the high mountains, there's always the risk of being hit by falling ice or rock. At one point, both Catherine and I were bruised by pieces of ice that had fallen loose in the morning sun.
Shade and sun offered radically different environments on the rock.
Loose rock, Catherine. So take care.
Each climber was hauling about 60 pounds of gear, attempting demanding moves at 18,000 feet. No sea-level workout can truly prepare you for this strain.
Pack's kind of heavy, isn't it? All that ice gear in there. Yeah.
Later in the day, the ice climbing equipment came in handy, though, as the pair surmounted a snow gully and made the final climb to shoulder camp at 18,500 feet, the spur on the right side of the tower, just as the chill of dusk was creeping up the peak.
You ready for me to get in there, Catherine?
Yeah.
Okay, slide over just a bit.
I'm not too fast.
You know, you're too fat, but so am I. It's okay. If I can get into my sleeping bag, that's all I care about. Oh, I'm ready for a big night's sleep. It was a good day today.
Yeah, I like. Oh, the weather seems to become better.
It's improving, I hope so.
It was cloudy, now it's clear.
Good.
The sun beat down on the climbers all the next morning.
Must be from the Yugoslavs, huh?
A Yugoslav team had made an aided climb of this route in 1988. The German team of Gulich and Albert had free climbed it in 1989. But the tower had never been conquered by a
I
woman.
think we need a bunch of these little TCUs for that thin finger crack up there. We need a lot of the same size in many of these pitches. Catherine, take some of those up with you so you can just leave the rope fixed as it should be. Leave the anchor fixed. Okay? See you soon. Get into a different crack system, huh, Catherine?
Oh, I don't know why I choose this way.
Because you forgot to think this morning.
Maybe I don't want to go in this crack. Okay. I'm sorry.
No problem. Nothing to be sorry for. I'm sitting here looking at some of the finest mountain scenery on Earth. Does that look like the belay up there in 10 or 15 feet? Pardon? Okay.
The cracks they had climbed in Colorado were relatively short compared to the tower, where a crack system might go on for 500 or 600 feet.
Is that it, Catherine? Okay, Catherine, I'm on my way.
Jeff came up behind, hauling the heavy pack. They had agreed to take turns leading the 6 pitches planned for this bright day. Each pitch was roughly 130 feet long. Their protection rope was only 150 feet, so no pitch could be attempted exceeding that length. Then it was Jeff's turn on lead.
Crack climbing at 20,000 feet is some of the hardest aerobic exercise I've ever done. Pumping up an overhanging crack was an experience I'll never forget. My chest was aching with each move. My heart was pounding. My forearms were all knotted up with cramps, and I just kept thinking, don't fall off, because I couldn't bear the idea of having to reclimb the pitch.
In the heat of the day, with temperatures hovering around 80 degrees, the climbing became difficult enough so that Jeff could no longer carry the pack and ascend simultaneously. Setting the ropes and the jumar for the pack haul took over an hour. Using a pulley and a webbing stirrup, Catherine hauled the pack up the pitch while hanging out on a cliff face with 2,000 feet of sky between her and the ground.
Catherine was really a joy to climb with. The impressions that I'd formed on our training climbs in Colorado earlier in the summer were reinforced on Nameless Tower. She's definitely one of the best free climbers I've ever climbed with, but more importantly, she's really at home in the mountains. She always does more than her share of cooking or load hauling. She's always ready with a funny comment just when you need it. And so it was a real element of lightness to the climb that I hadn't experienced before climbing with my macho buddies. It was nice for once to leave all the macho posturing behind and just climb with a kindred spirit.
The pair continued to ascend well into the afternoon, concluding a day-long marathon of free climbing. Catherine was on lead for the 6th and final pitch. She reached a foot-wide ledge, a great expanse to climbers, and decided to call it a day. After the good weather of the previous day, a storm system settled over the tower and the Trango range. To wait it out at a lower altitude, the pair down-climbed back to shoulder camp at 18,500 feet.
Ooh, I'm getting a little chilly. Cooling off. Looks like we may have a change in the weather, huh? Who knows? It's hard to say if this is going to be really a storm, but...
I thought we were very hot today, but not so hot.
No, this is good. Well, at least we got one good day in here, and if it storms, we can wait it out. We have plenty of food. Yeah. So... But it was good climbing, huh?
Yeah, I like climbing.
Yeah? Feels better to me, too.
I need to put warm clothes.
Yeah.
Before
Me too.
I'm cold.
If the weather holds, it looks like a couple days to the top, huh?
Why not?
I don't think we can do it in one. It's bigger than it looks.
So, what do you want to eat?
Yeah, that ought to do it. All right. 10 minutes and we'll have some soup, Catherine.
Noodle soup.
Noodle soup? What else do we have?
Noodle soup.
What's this? Patates au lard? Patates.
Hachis parmentier.
Huh?
5000.
What's this one?
It's mashed potatoes with
Hachis parmentier. Okay. Sounds good.
chicken rice. Ah, it changed.
Hash browns, these are...
Soup with the rice,
Oh.
not noodle.
Oh, brand new thing. Great. Variety.
To their great dismay, the storm was still going strong after 4 days. Cold, boredom, and fatigue at altitude were rapidly becoming critical factors. The daily call to base camp was at least something to look forward to.
Base camp, this is shoulder camp, come in, over. Base camp, come in, over.
Yeah, this is base. Over.
Hi, Captain, how are you today?
Good morning, Jeff. I'm fine. Thank you. Over.
Good. Well, I guess you got the same storm we got last night. It really snowed quite a bit for a while there. It doesn't look much better today. Have you gotten the weather report?
Captain Wasim was the Pakistani liaison officer assigned to the climb.
It has been raining off and on last night here also.
And it says that it's gonna rain in Kashmir and northern areas in the next 24 hours. Over.
That's not very surprising. We're going to hang in here another day or two if it sticks like this. We've got good supplies, but we do need better weather if we're going to be able to free climb the remainder of the tower. Over.
I do copy that.
Well, Captain, we'll try again in another half hour. Maybe atmospheric conditions will be a little bit better. Over and out.
So,
Yeah.
bad weather?
Oh, just the same stuff, you know. 5 or 6 days of bad weather, 2 or 3 days of good weather. Seems to be the pattern. It's okay, that's all we need.
When the weather was very bad, I tried to be happy and to be enjoy about the climb. It's very important to be a good team because when somebody lose his motivation, you have to be nice and to be enjoy. I try to be nice because I wanted this summit and I wanted to do this climb.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah.
An old Muslim prayer issued from base camp may have helped to clear the skies. In any case, Jeff and Catherine were back on the rock, picking up where they had left off before the storm. However, early morning cold was still a factor.
Each morning we had to spend 10 or 15 minutes just getting our fingers loosened up enough so that we could work with them.
The sun and fresh snow combined to increase the chances of avalanche. While belaying Jeff that morning, Catherine wore her helmet, wary of loose rocks that caromed down the route. Jeff worked his way through yet another big crack system, laying in protection as he advanced. Good hands are the free climber's most important asset, and Jeff's, chalk-covered and pumped out, were overdue for a rest.
The rock was so rough, my hands were so cold that I couldn't feel them, and the skin would just tear like rice paper. I've never had to endure that kind of pain on a free climb before. In fact, both of our hands were so sore and painful by the end of the climb that Catherine and I had trouble operating the zippers on our clothes.
As they approached the 19,000 foot level, Catherine became aware of the debilitating effects of altitude.
It's the highest climb I never done before. The hands were very, very cold, and I was crying because it was too painful. Sometimes I think I have done one pitch in 1 hour, so it's very, very slow.
On the next to last day of the climb, I led one particularly gruesome crack that literally tore up the skin on the back of my hands.
As they grew tired, it was increasingly important to watch out for little mistakes, such as crossing the ropes or getting them caught in a crack. Support team members followed their progress from base camp.
Yeah, they're pitching camp 2/3 of the way up the climb on a little ledge. Apparently it's getting pretty cold, so I suppose we'll be spending the night there.
Do you think they're going to make it to summit tomorrow?
Well, in all probability they will, but the clouds are coming in, so it depends completely on the weather at this point.
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
Over the course of a week, they had climbed and down-climbed over half a mile of vertical granite. The wall camp at 19,700 feet would be their home for the night, and then again tomorrow night on their way down from the summit, provided the weather and their muscles held. Only 810 feet separated Catherine and Jeff from the summit, and from the achievement of a woman's free climbing first. Once again, they passed the night in fitful sleep, waiting for the dawn. An old condition of Catherine's started to act up.
The only problem I had was my asthma. I couldn't breathe in the night, and I waked up Jeff, and he gave me some medicines, and I slept again.
On the summit day, we got a late start because when we woke up, it was very cold, and we had to wait for the sun to get into the upper corners so it would be warm enough to pre-climb. We knew we were getting a late start and we'd probably be late getting up, so we threw our headlamps and extra clothes in our packs so we would be able to descend safely at night.
Throughout the day, the temperature remained below freezing. Though they were equipped for a night descent, Jeff and Catherine were keen to avoid it. They moved quickly. When Catherine looked up, she was elated to discover that there were only 2 pitches left to the summit. With the light fading, time was of the essence. By late afternoon, the wind was whipping around base camp as well. Jeff and Catherine were out of sight. Even support team leader Jim Bridwell, who was stationed at shoulder camp, had no word.
So I talked to Jim on the radio. He's on the shoulder. And apparently he's lost sight of the climbers and doesn't know whether they're going to go up or down at this point. I hear that
It's already 5 days. Yeah, because they'll have to come down in dark if they don't make it today.
maybe we'll hear from them soon.
No one knew what would become of the pair. Unfortunately, worsening weather added to their problems. Jeff and Catherine knew this was their only chance for a summit bid, and though the odds were heavily stacked against them, they had made the decision to go for it. They layered on their warmest clothes and prepared for an icy pitch.
The night is coming. We have to hurry.
Base camp, this is Trango Tower, over. Base camp, do you read, over?
Yes, I read you, Jeff. How are you?
Hi, Veronique. I'm happy to say we're on the top, over.
Congratulations. How does it feel, over?
Well, it feels like we're all tired here and we want to get down. It's getting dark, but we're happy to be up here. Good climb, over.
Jeff, is it still snowing? It looked like there was a blizzard earlier.
Nothing serious. The biggest obstacle we've got is the fact that we're here at 6 o'clock at night when we should have been here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But other than that, everything should be fine. Over.
I was happy to be at the top, but the wind blew up and the snow came very, very fast.
When I climbed up the last little bit of ice and snow to join Catherine on the summit, it was really one of the most satisfying moments of my climbing career. It's a success like this in the face of long odds that's the best kind of all.
The wind is cold, the moon is full. Fire holds us with many hands. The wind is hot, the sun is high. Dust is running on the land. Give us now our daily bread. Blessed rain that falls. The rivers rise and sing again. The hungry creatures call. The wind is he who knows our names. The rain is she who comes again. The flame is he who licks our heart. The dust is she all cracked apart. The moon is he that dies and grows. The sun is she, both fierce and slow, with hands to hold and hands of stone, hearts to give and live alone.
Base camp, this is Trango Tower. Over. Base camp, Reed. Over.
Yes, I read you, Jeff. How are you?
Hi, Veronique. I'm happy to say we're on the top. Over.
Congratulations. How does it feel? Over.
We're happy to be up here. Good climb. Over.
Love is like a water spring, always giving birth. Release it from the underground. Celebrate our homeowners. Celebrate our homeowners.
This capsule and its revolutionary dual balloon design will be captained by Larry Newman as part of an effort to make aviation history with the first non-stop around-the-world balloon flight. You'll see the successful test flights that have been made to date over the United States as Expedition Earth brings you exclusive coverage of this epic voyage.